Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? Okay, in the back? No? Yeah? My name is Catherine Ingraham, or Kat Ingraham, and I am the project coordinator for Mahoosuc Heart and Soul. For the past almost 2 years now, myself, along with a very dedicated team of volunteers, has been interviewing different members of the community to ask them what they enjoy about living in this place and what they would like to see for the future of the area. And we've been working with the towns of Bethel, Newry, Greenwood, Woodstock, and the surrounding townships. So these 86 ideas that we have came from different stories from community members. And many of them came from students at Telstar, as well as students at Gould, and many, many diverse voices of people who live here. We have Jane LaFleur, who will be facilitating this today. She will explain to you a little bit about Heart and Soul, a little bit about how these clickers work, and then we're going to start to share some ideas with everybody.
Thanks, Kat. Welcome, everyone. It's great to see so many people, especially so many other people, because your voices make a difference. And what you care about is what is going to happen in the future. You can have a huge impact on that.
Can you speak up?
Could we turn the mics up a little bit? Is that better? If I yell? Okay. Okay, how's that? Okay, so thank you everyone for coming out today. And again, thank you to all the young folks in the schools. Don't fall asleep, we need your vote, okay? So these are electronic voting devices, and we're going to sample how they work before we get into the official voting. But I'm going to show a couple slides to tell you what we've been up to over the last couple of years. Kat started with the introductions. We're going to talk about impact, like what difference does this idea make, and feasibility. And I'll explain what those words mean in a few minutes. You're going to vote on about half of the 85 items today. The other half is going to be on Wednesday night. Then we'll talk about next steps, and then we'll let you go home and have some lunch. Eat lunch here first, okay. So Kat's going to read through the statements that the team and the community came up with. And I want to back up a little bit. Over the past 2 years, volunteers in the community have been collecting stories from hundreds of people to find out what matters most. Community Heart and Soul is a program of the Orton Family Foundation. It's just a model that they recommend that people use, communities use. Orton Family Foundation started the Vermont Country Store, if you've ever heard of that store. And Lyman Orton, who's the owner of the store, really cares about small towns. And he thinks that people should be more involved in their community, and we should be listening more to what community members want. So that's what Heart and Soul is all about. So over the past year or so, the team has been collecting stories from hundreds of people and pulling ideas from those stories. And the team came up with, after they listened to all those stories, pulled all the ideas out of them, about 9 statements that summarize what people care about in this community. These are the things that matter most to the Bethel, Newry, Greenwood, Woodstock, and surrounding area. So Kat, I'll advance the slides while you read the statement.
Community spirit. We honor the spirit of our community that we see through neighbors helping neighbors, volunteering, and supporting local traditions, events, and institutions. This spirit creates a sense of belonging which allows us opportunities to participate. We respect the value of personal freedom and individual rights that contributes to the strength of our community. Economy. We value our diverse economy built by hardworking, independent, entrepreneurial individuals. We strive to create financial stability during all stages of life, and we value the balance between new and traditional economic drivers. Education. We value education in all forms within our community. We want to build on existing offerings within our schools and community institutions, and to communicate these opportunities to all members of our community. We value lifelong learning, including practical opportunities to enhance job skills and building connections among community members of all ages and interests through educational experiences. Environment. We value the clean natural environment for its beauty, tranquility, economic, and recreational opportunities. Geography, recreation, and activities. We value the natural and built assets of our area and the opportunities for indoor and outdoor recreation they afford. We enjoy access to art, history, education, and musical opportunities, as well as physical activities provided by access to nearby mountains, trails, rivers, lakes, and ponds. Healthy community. We strive to be a healthy community where families and individuals of all ages and abilities have access to a variety of indoor and outdoor recreational, educational, and social opportunities in our towns. We connect to one another in a supportive environment that contributes to social, emotional, and physical well-being. Livability. We value living in a rural area that provides a variety of activities for all ages and interests. We desire to provide a safe community for all, where access to affordable housing, medical services, local foods, and transportation are available to community members of all means. People. We value the vibrant diversity of people who live, learn, work, and recreate in this compassionate community. The skills, knowledge, perspectives, and passions of the people keep traditions alive. At the same time, we are open to new innovations and opportunities. Small town feel. We value the small town feel that allows connections among residents and leads to the ability to let people see other points of view. The small town culture provides opportunities to make a difference without the distractions of a more urban lifestyle. And you might see pictures of different groups and people that you know in town. I borrowed from many different clubs' Facebook pages to get these slides today.
Thank you. So that summary represents hundreds of hours of volunteer time that people contributed to collect stories from hundreds of people and then pull these ideas out of the stories. So you live in a very diverse and great community. It's amazing, and I hope you're proud of that summary because it really shows just what this community is all about, this greater area. So today you're going to be keypad polling voting. If you've ever seen Who Wants to Be a Millionaire on TV, where they ask the audience and they vote, that's what this is. So everyone should have a keypad. Is there anyone that does not have one? I don't. Could you give him one? You should not have two. You should only have one. And you should hold it. Good to have it around your neck so you don't drop it and step on it. And you should hold it so the little hole is at the bottom, so it's upright. If you can see the numbers, they go 1A, 2B, 3C across the top. If you can't see, come sit under a light. And you're going to be voting in a minute for either 1, 2, or 3, and I'll show you what that's all about. But the first vote in a minute will have more options. So we're going to test this right now before we tell you what impact and feasibility is all about. Somebody's already voted. See that number up there by the green? And you can vote. The question is, what is your favorite ice cream flavor? So vote 1 if it's vanilla, 2 chocolate, 3 strawberry, 4 mint chocolate chip, 5 mocha chip, 6 black raspberry, 7 coffee, 8 cookie dough, and 9 is I don't like ice cream. And a couple of rules. You can vote as many times as you want, but it only counts at once. The last button you push is what gets counted. So if you say, oh, I like coffee, oh no, I meant mint chocolate chip, you can change your mind. So it only counts the one that you pick. And there's a little light above the 1 that should flash green. Or if you have a screen, can I see yours for a minute? Yeah, if you have a screen, it's over the 3 in your case. It should flash green that says your vote was taken. Or the screen will show what you chose. Okay, so if it flashes red, come back and get a new one. Okay, because that means the battery's dying. We've changed all the batteries, but but you never know. Sometimes they just go fast. So Pat has a couple extras. Just raise your hand if it's not flashing correctly.
Mine's flashing like 5. Yeah.
Excuse me?
I don't know what the 5 different colors
Ours is like
means.
flashing green and then red.
So if it goes green, you're okay.
I'll grab more.
Green after.
Get a new one. So far, go ahead and vote. 74 people have voted, I hope. It looks like it should be 74. 75, 76. Staying at 1, I don't know why. 78. I'm going to push the next one. I'm going to cancel, stop the voting now. Everybody should be going more than 80. I don't know why it's not clicking. Okay, I'm going to close the voting, even though I know you have your hands
So I'm
up.
just going to give you new ones.
And this is what you decided. So most of you like cookie dough, and the next is chocolate.
Just take the other ones.
It's funny, usually mint chocolate chip is the highest in most communities, so this could be because of a younger demographic. But do you see what happened there? 24% of you said you like cookie dough, and no one doesn't like ice cream. That's surprising too. You get it? So that's how it works. Anybody have any questions about how it works? Okay. So now we're going to get to the serious stuff. All of you should have or should be sharing a sheet that has all the 85 actions on it. So you'll see what's coming up. And if you have a pencil, you can write down what the conclusion is. The sheets. Are there more sheets, Pat? Norm has them. There may not be any left, so if somebody's willing to share with this gentleman and give up his. Could you share with the person next to you for now, and then, yeah. Oh, she doesn't have one either. Oh, there, thank you very much. Okay. So we had 100 sheets, and there are only 70-something people, so there should be enough. Okay, we are going to be looking at every item. You're going to vote twice. One is impact, and the question is, does it have a strong positive effect on the city or the town and the quality of life? Does it make a positive difference to the lifestyle, the business climate, or family life? Does it address a need in the community? And does it have a positive effect on the Mahoosuc community? So that's what's impact. What difference does this idea make? Okay, that's the impact. Does it make a difference? Does it have a high, medium, or low impact? If you think, oh, it doesn't matter, we don't care, won't make a bit of good, doesn't do anything for us, you would vote low, or 3. And then the next time you vote, you'll be voting on feasibility. And that is, does it have the potential for attracting leadership? Does it have community support? Is it an easy win in the short term, or a harder win but over a longer time? Is it less expensive? Or it could be accomplished with fundraising, and is it likely to be accomplished? So I'll give you an example. One of the communities I worked with said, we want a skateboard park. They didn't have one like you do. And they said, we really want one. And the kids said this would make a huge difference in our life. This would make our life fabulous. They wanted it. We heard it over and over and over again. So the impact was high. The feasibility, however, there was no land, there was no money, there was no leadership, there was nobody willing to take charge of it. It wasn't going to happen. So the the feasibility was pretty low. So high impact, low feasibility. It doesn't mean it won't ever happen, but it just shows that in that case it was a high impact, low feasibility. Most of these items, almost all of them, do not require tax dollars, in your property tax dollars. The town collects money from people. based on their properties, to spend in the community on fire and police and things like that, but also other ideas that make life good for you. So most of these ideas don't have to be done by government. They can be done by citizens in the community that volunteer or get donations and make these things happen. So this is not about spending your tax dollars. It is about the community doing things for itself. Okay? Is there a question? Yes?
Is one high or low?
You'll see in a minute. So we're going to start. This is the first item, and we'll start slow. Yeah. Kat wants me to make sure. Does anyone have questions about impact or feasibility? Okay. So the first question, and Kat's going to keep track of your votes on this chart also. What is the impact of expanding biking trails for mountain bikers, including some adaptive use trails? So 1 is high. You can go ahead and vote. But before you vote, we want to ask if anybody has a comment to make that's factual. We don't want people saying, this is a horrible idea, don't do it, or this is a wonderful idea, let's do it. But if you have some information that helps people make a voting decision, we'll pass the mic and let you tell us that. Okay? So does anyone have any factual information that they want to add before people, even though 38 people have voted already? You can change your vote. Anybody have anything they want to say about expanding biking trails for mountain bikers? No comments? Okay. Go ahead and vote. Okay, you have a stickies to do? Okay. You feel what? Yeah, this is Vanna White, for those of you who know. Okay. So 71 people have voted. If you think your vote may not have gone through, feel free to press it twice. That's okay. Make sure it flashes or it shows up in the screen. Last chance. Here we go. So it's a median impact. And we take what most of you said. If it's a tie, we'll go right between the tie. Okay, so that's the impact. So most of you think this would make a pretty good difference in your life. So what's the feasibility of this happening? What's the likelihood that this would happen? Is there leadership? Is there funding? Is there community support? Is it likely to be accomplished? Go ahead and vote. If there's any comments, let me know.
So, question about the clicker.
Yes?
I get red at first, but then I get the number in the screens.
Yeah, I think it's going through. Is it a flashing red? If it's green, you're okay. Anybody else want to vote? Last chance. And you thought medium feasibility. So Kat, that's medium, medium. Okay? The next question is, what is the impact of offering life skills classes for middle and high school age students where they can learn things like how to balance a checkbook, change a tire, and prepare meals? Any comments about that? Any factual information we need to know? Just a quick note, when I was in high school, I took a course and we had to learn how to fill out an income tax form, how to file your taxes, and it was amazing, and it stuck with me for years. Yes, question?
Am I to assume from this question that this is not currently being offered?
I don't know the answer. The question is this currently being offered in the school system? No. Shoot. No, it is not currently being offered. Any other questions? Yes? The question is, what do you mean about prepare meals? So does anyone want to answer that? Somebody from the team? Cook. Learn how to cook. How to shop for groceries. Have a balanced... Okay. So they're doing a food systems unit right now and learning a little bit about preparing meals.
Jane, we have another question.
Another question, yes.
It's not a question, it's a comment.
Go ahead.
All the technology that's coming through like pay by phone stuff.
Yes. Keep it, go ahead.
We have pay by phone stuff now. This is probably only going to be like relevant for a little while before we have like, I don't know, just more technology to help us do these things.
Yes. So the point was technology will eliminate the need to do some of these things. I think change a tire, maybe you'll be able to have drive up and some machine will do that for you. But the question is now, in the next couple of years. Yes, comment.
That's only one example, though. I mean,
Right.
I think that it would include other things. So the
Yes.
fact that technology is taking over that
Yes.
function doesn't mean that.
Those 3 examples are just examples of many other life skills. Okay, that's right. Yes, ma'am, miss? Okay, another swap. Question in the back, go ahead.
So it's actually a comment.
Go ahead.
So I have a cousin who's like, I don't know, 23 now and moved out, and she didn't have these life skills classes, and she still needs her mom to pay her taxes for her.
Yeah, good point. So she's giving an example of somebody who's an adult that still needs help because never was taught these life skills. Any other comments? Any other factual information that helps your voting? Last chance. Here we go. Yes?
There used to be life skills taught in the school as part of the home economic curriculum, I believe.
Yes.
I know somebody can comment about why that was eliminated.
Question is, home economics used to include life skills. Does anyone know why that was eliminated?
Yeah, it was eliminated due to funding issues and to new state requirements that basically said we had to be providing additional programming during the school day.
Okay,
But
so it was
basically,
swapped out for some other state
basically
requirements.
funding issues during budget
Funding
cuts.
issues. Okay. Do you have a comment or need a swap? Okay, here we go. So the impact would be high. Now, what is the feasibility of offering life skills classes for middle and high school students? And I guess I might point out that this does not necessarily mean it only has to be through a school. It only takes the last one. Another program, I know a Y or other programs sometimes offer things like that. Did you have a question, Miss? You all set? Okay. Okay. Go ahead and vote. Last chance. So a medium feasibility. So it was high impact, medium feasibility. The next question is, what is the impact of establishing a park on the river in Greenwood at the old mill site? Does anyone from the committee want to comment on this so we know a little bit more about this, if there's any comments about it? Question is, what kind of park, or does it mean a green space? No, it's not a dog, not necessarily a dog park. That's another question. Comments? Yes.
Is it like a skate park?
Voter is not working.
So somebody needs to swap that one out. The question is, what kind of park? Does anyone from the committee can add more information about what kind of park? If it's blinking red, it probably is still working. If they're all doing that, that's okay. Okay, yes.
I'm not technically on the committee, but I'm a selectman in Greenwood, and we've talked about it. It has water frontage, this old mill site, and it also connects to 3 different lakes by water. So we've talked about a waterfront park that could have kayaking and canoeing and stand-up paddleboarding opportunities, that kind of
So
thing.
water access, because it's on water, probably means picnic tables and things like that. Doesn't mean a water slide or something like that.
Good.
Okay. Anything else? Any other comments or questions? Go ahead and vote. Testing. Okay, so it's very close. The mediums are the highest percentage, so medium impact, but it's pretty closely split. So what's the feasibility? What's the likelihood? I think it's a swap.
Yeah.
Anybody want to comment on the feasibility of establishing a park on the river in Greenwood at the old mill site? Go ahead and vote. Yes, go ahead.
Has the environmental situation been cleaned up there?
Do you know if the environmental situation has been cleaned up there?
The land was divided so that it's all under one block of land except for the part that was a previous waste dump, and that's in another deeded place. So at least it's been separated so that the park part could be purchased without buying the toxic dump. So.
Okay, so it's a separate parcel of land. Any other comments or questions? Go ahead and vote. Last chance. So low feasibility. So Pat, that was medium impact, low feasibility. What is the impact of creating a social club for young people? Any comments from the committee on where this came from or what the purpose was or any other factual information?
So this idea actually came from interviews that I did last year with the entire 7th grade class. I heard a lot of people say that they wish there was more stuff to do in town. More opportunities to spend time with their friends, so if that's something that you agree with, think about it.
Okay, so go ahead and vote. Any other comments or questions? Oh, I forgot to mention, when you vote, the receiver is here on my laptop, so don't point it at me or at your friend. You know, if you feel like you need to, some people like to aim things, like they aim their remote at home. So if you feel like you need to aim it, it's right there in my laptop. Okay, comments, questions? Okay. What is the impact of creating a social club for young people? Last chance. High impact. What is the feasibility of creating a social club for young people? Does anyone ever belong to a social club of some sort for folks? Yes.
I don't have a comment, but a question. I'm wondering if that implies that it would be a place, a building, or if it only means opportunity.
Kat, do you have a response to that? Does it mean a place or a building or just an opportunity?
So a place in a building is another specific action item separate from this one. It doesn't necessarily mean that it couldn't be a building.
And I've seen a lot of communities where young people organize online, whether it's a Facebook group or something like that. They'll say, hey, we're all going hiking, meet at this trail, we're going to hike, and bring your lunch. And then, so it's an opportunity to get together. And then another day, they say, hey, let's rent a bus and go down to the mall and whatever, or let's all go skiing and meet in the lodge at 1 o'clock. So we, just hang out. So, all different types of opportunities. It doesn't have to be a building, it can be just virtually organized. Okay. Go ahead and vote. Last chance. So high feasibility, they're pretty close. You got that, Pat? Okay. What is the impact of building a hockey rink? Pat, do you want to comment on about the origin of that? Is that from young people too, or adults as well?
That was from both young people and adults who spoke about driving as far away to North Conway and the Lewiston Auburn area for hockey opportunities.
Okay. Any other comments about the impact or feasibility of a hockey rink? Yes? Will it be league? I have no idea.
That's up to
If you
whoever
make
wants
it
to.
happen, you can make it whatever you want. You have other ideas? Yeah, you can leave them out at the front before you leave. So the question is, what if we have other great ideas? Can we leave them with you?
I need a new one.
Amy, could you carry some clickers with you in case there's a... Okay, go ahead and vote. Ready? No, left. No, the other box.
Nope, those are all
Never mind. 40% medium impact. Okay? What's the feasibility of building a hockey or creating a hockey rink? So, is there outdoor skating anywhere? No. Some communities start outdoor first and then enclose later. Okay. Yes, comments? Questions? Yes.
There has been discussion about clearing some of the ice on some of the ponds
Yeah.
on a regular basis, so there would be open ice for skating or,
Yeah.
that's been
So there's
discussed.
been discussion, but no action yet. Yeah, well, good to know. So there's certainly an interest. Yeah, sometimes these things can start small and low cost, and then they can... So there's no answer to that. The question is, where is this going to take place? It doesn't take place unless somebody is the champion and makes this happen. That's the point of all of these ideas. So one of the questions is, is there a possible space for it? The gentleman in the back said on a pond or a lake, or in an empty field that the fire department floods. I think in North Conway, I used to live in North Conway, they flooded the green and put up boards. Starts out small and then maybe later gets bigger. Okay, last chance. Low feasibility. Okay, here we go. What is the impact of improving communication, collaboration, and advertising of local events and organizations by creating a community calendar for all people and causes? Any comments about this? Yes,
We have one.
we have one.
Well, we
Okay.
have several.
We have several.
We have a community calendar on BethelMaine.com that anybody can go in and enter their events, and that site gets between 400 and 500 visits a day. It's through the chamber,
Okay.
but it's not just for chamber members, it's for any community organization, any kids group, anybody can go and have 100% access. It's simple
Wonderful.
to use.
So in this case, the feasibility should be sky high because it's already happening. Any other comments? Yes.
People know what's happening.
People don't know what's happening. So some of the improving communication, maybe people don't know this is happening, so how can that be enhanced? A lot of organizations and other communities that I work with rely on that community calendar because they not only share events, but they can share volunteers, and they don't plan everything the same weekend because there aren't enough volunteers to go around. So it's really essential in many communities. Any other comments or votes? Okay, so what is the impact? Very high impact. What's the feasibility of this happening? Well, it's already happening, you heard, but also improving communication and collaboration and advertising. Go ahead and vote. Okay, last chance. That should have said feasibility, excuse me, high feasibility. What is the impact of creating a center or recreational center with a space for adults, kids, crafts, education, games, a kitchen, etc.? Any questions or comments about this? Yes.
Just comment that for the last 20 or 25 years, this has been coming up as something that people would like to see. However, different groups see it as different things. So
Yeah.
Everybody comes together. I think.
Yeah, some communities do find a space for that kind of center. And sometimes it starts very small and then it's gets bigger as you need it. But, places to gather. Where do you have meetings? Where do organizations meet? That sort of thing. Go ahead and vote, unless there's more comments. Okay. Last chance. High impact. And what's the feasibility of creating a center or recreational center with a space for adults, kids, crafts, education?
I think one of the things that needs to be clarified is that whenever we talk about spaces,
Yes.
I think people sometimes think immediately building something new
Yeah.
as opposed to creating or establishing in an existing space.
Absolutely.
So maybe we need to just
Yeah.
say that this is not about
Yeah.
building, because if you say
Absolutely.
building,
Good point. It does say creating, it doesn't say building, so it doesn't mean building a new, brand-new building. It can be using vacant space or underused space for other organizations. Okay? Thank you, good comment. Any other comments? Go ahead and vote. Last chance. So medium feasibility. Thank you. You get that? What is the impact of expanding events and programs at the library, hosting a craft or game night, and offering a place for people to gather? And this is specifically in reference to library?
Well, there's two libraries.
To library.
So there's a library, the Bethel Library, and then there's a library in Woodstock.
So at both libraries,
Public libraries.
public libraries.
And currently, the Bethel Library is conducting a survey about how to expand their services, their willingness to conduct, do different things. I'm not sure what's going on with Ryan, but, so there's a chance for the community to weigh in on that.
Okay, so
At the Bethel Library.
I have a few copies of that survey if anybody would like to fill one out. It's our strategic planning initiative at the Bethel Library, so we're doing future long-range planning.
So the Bethel Library, if you didn't hear that comment, has a survey about how to use that kind of space. So be sure, is it online as well?
It is online, yep.
So you can
Yep,
take the
Bethel
survey online as well.
Library.
Important to do.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Okay. Low impact. What is the feasibility of expanding events and programs at the library, hosting a craft or game night, and offering a place for people to gather? Go ahead and vote. Last chance. A tie between high and medium feasibility. So low, I got it. What is the impact of improving handicapped accessibility in local businesses and residents? Excuse me, and restaurants, sorry. What is the impact of improving handicapped accessibility in local buildings and restaurants? So evidently, through all the story gathering, people said this is needed. Any comments? Somebody with a hand up back there, just stretching? Okay. Need a new clipper. Yeah, hold it up above the chair. The metal chair might be blocking the signal. Okay, go ahead. High impact. What's the feasibility of improving handicapped accessibility in local buildings and restaurants? Yes.
Mike Humphrey grew up in Newry, now down in Portland, and he is setting himself up as a consultant for accessibility. Like we used to go to camp over here in Bethel. So we have a local hero who's a couple.
Oh, that's a good point. So if you didn't hear that, there is a local person who helps businesses and restaurants assess how to improve handicapped accessibility. So there's a local hero that could help make that happen, yes.
I would imagine there's federal funding available as well.
And imagining that there may be federal funding available for that too, yes.
I would also point out that handicap accessibility is not just a mobility issue, it's also deaf and visually impaired.
Yes, so it's not just mobility, it's deaf and visually impaired. Any other comments? Last chance. Oh, you got a comment? Yes.
There's an organization called the Iris Society
Yes.
that helps people with trouble seeing, and they come to us.
Wonderful. So there's an organization called the Iris Society that helps people that have trouble seeing, and they come as far as Bethel to help assist. Okay, thank you. Last chance. High feasibility. I think that's high. I think lost. What is the impact of hiring a recreation director for the region? Well, the region means Bethel, Newry, Greenwood, and Woodstock, and their surrounding townships.
Yeah, by the region, generally what we do is we mean the school district.
So a recreation director would be somebody who organizes recreational opportunities, whether it's classes or games or sporting events or things like that. Some towns have them, yes.
An individual like that could help to coordinate recreational access into all of the, if we were talking about a community center,
Yes.
not the need necessarily to build bricks and mortar, but to keep track of, could
Yeah.
assess what the needs are and look at
Yeah.
different buildings and different availability at different hours. So that person could be the overall coordinator for the region, not necessarily bound by town ordinance.
Yeah. Did everyone hear that? The person could be the overall coordinator of recreation opportunities for the whole region, not necessarily just working for one town. Another comment, questions? Do you need a new clicker? Okay. High impact. What's the feasibility of hiring a recreation director? What's the likelihood? Any ideas, any comments about how that would be funded and organized? Yes.
It would seem that it would be difficult to lay it on one town, so probably the easiest way to do it would be to have someone involved with the school district. I'm not sure the feasibility of that is, but I think it's a great idea.
Okay, so the comment was the easiest way would be through a school district, the school district, but the feasibility may be harder for that, or towns sharing the cost, or some other method. Go ahead and vote. Last chance. So medium feasibility. Okay. What is the impact of creating a tool library where people can borrow and donate tools or equipment they may need for a short period of time and they do not use anymore? I've seen this, by the way, in other communities where, if you need a chainsaw, but you don't want to buy one, you only need it for one tree, then you could borrow it. Or often it's accessibility equipment too. Like, when people hurt themselves and they need help putting on their socks, and there are those things that you can borrow for that, but you don't need it for months and months, you might only need it for a couple of weeks. So I've seen it work. It's a lending library. I know in some cases people have a wheelchair or a walker in their closet they needed at one point, but they could donate it. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Last chance. So the impact is a low impact. That might be because of the demographics in this audience. But it's pretty evenly split. What's the feasibility of establishing a tool library where people can borrow and donate? I know in Lincolnville Center, they just did this, and it's often for gardening equipment. You need, if you're a gardener, but you don't want to buy all those things, then it's a great way to borrow something for a couple days or a week. Any other comments? Last chance. Low feasibility. Low. I just want to point out quickly that what Kat's doing is tracking the votes overall on this grid. And at the end of the whole 2 days, when things show up as high impact and high feasibility over here, these are things that the community should definitely do. Because people have said it's going to make a huge difference and it's likely to happen. Yes?
I have a process question. Other than the people who are coming to these 2 sessions, is there any outreach to all the people that have been involved in the interviews to go back to them to ask these questions?
They were all invited to participate in these events. I asked Jane if other communities had set things up like online voting. And what you miss with that is the benefit of having a group discussion.
And the other thing is that we debated a lot, like should you have these sheets available so people can fill out and put their votes into the system as well. It's a blessing and a curse because the people that leave here today, if you're tracking the votes, you leave with the expectation that these 5 things are high impact and high feasibility, or these 10 things are likely to happen. But if the offline voting changes that outcome, it changes the, kind of the credibility of this process here.
But how representational are these 2 groups?
Yeah, absolutely. I get, yeah, we can talk about it more. I mean, if you want to expand it, yeah, it's a tough one.
The world is run by those who show up.
Yeah. But still, yes. Amy.
I also just want to say that this isn't some kind of static thing that's just going to be, this is the be-all, end-all.
Right.
This is going to give a picture of what the people who were able to show up have said about these projects. But the whole list of projects, as well as those value statements that were read at the beginning, are all fodder for every community member, organization, town, municipality, business to respond to in whatever way they feel ready to respond to.
Thank you for that. So at the end of this whole 2 days, an action plan is put together outlining all of these items. And the ones that go, the grid will be established to show the items that are high impact and high feasibility, and medium and low and low. And then the team goes out to organizations and community members and says, can we make this happen? In one of the communities in Bucksport where they did this, they went to every single organization and volunteer group and said, okay, can you adopt some of these actions? Because the community supported them. They said high impact, high feasibility. So can you take leadership in this and assemble a team to make this item happen? And so that's how this goes. It is not static. It's just an idea. It's really I like to call it the temperature in the room. What do the people that are here today think about this item? And then it's not binding. It doesn't make the government do it for you. You have to do it for yourself. So it's really about just getting an idea of how important these items are to the community members. Yes.
I know that this may feel a little boring, and I see some eyes closing back there. The best thing about today is that kids are here. I mean, we could be sitting here as a bunch of old gray-haired adults trying to decide what's going to happen in this community, but you guys are here. It means everything to this community. So as best you can, take this seriously, okay? It's not going to take forever, well, kind of forever, but it's really important that you are voting.
Thank you again. We had when I was doing this in Damascata a few years ago, one of the items was they wanted more bicycle racks in town, and that idea came from the kids at Lincoln Academy. And a Lincoln Academy student, one student said, I want to make that happen. And he went out and met with the town council, the select board, and he said, I think we need 5 bike racks. And he surveyed all around town, he took pictures, he presented a report to the select board. He went out and got a grant to fund them, and he installed them with the public works crew. And so that is one young man under 18 that did that. So thank you for your comment. It really does, and shows how much power everybody in this room has. You can make these things happen, so thank you again. Okay, what's the impact of creating and maintaining affordable housing? Any comments on this? Just so, I want to define affordable housing. This means places that people can afford that live in this community, in all of these communities. And it often means your teachers, your firefighters, your police officers, so they can continue to live in these communities where they work, so that people don't have to commute hundreds of miles between job and home, that there's places that are affordable to live in. Any comments? Okay. High impact. What's the feasibility of creating and maintaining affordable housing? Comments? Just to add to it, in many communities, this does not mean a single building of affordable housing. It sometimes means a unit or a building or an apartment here and there that are more affordable, that are kept, there's government assistance to keep prices down. So the landlord makes the money they should be getting for rent, but the person living there only has to pay us what they can afford. So it doesn't mean like a whole building of affordable units. It can, but it doesn't have to. Last chance. Low feasibility. High, low. What is the impact of creating more opportunities for families and kids to do things together, both indoors and outside? Kat, do you have comments on this one, or where this came from?
So this actually was another comment from young people, and the surprising thing maybe to you will be that their parents felt the same way.
Any comments? Points, questions, facts? Yes.
Is this a question about creating facilities or spaces or programs or?
Yes.
All of those things, Norm.
Opportunities. So it could be programming, go ahead.
I think it's directly related to the previous question about having some type of a recreational director regionally to be keeping your finger on the pulse of what's needed, what people want, and then how to match up spaces, times.
Yeah.
It requires coordination. I mean, there are many things already offered for families, both, outdoors, I mean, there are organizations that do these kind of things, but if people want more,
right,
it does require an intentional investment and effort.
Right, okay, thank you. Everybody hear that? It's closely tied to the recreation director recommendation, that somebody to coordinate all of this. Last chance. High impact. And what's the feasibility of creating more opportunities for families and kids to do things together, both indoors and outside? Any comments?
And there are a lot of organizations that do things, there's a calendar, but I don't think that the two are necessarily well enough connected.
The overall coordination might be lacking, although there are calendars and events going on. Any more votes? Last chance. Medium. So I think that's high, medium. What is the impact of developing a community communication of Region 9 class offerings and marketing? Kat, do you want to comment on that one?
We need clarification on that.
What does it mean?
Just that many people knew what exactly Region 9 had to offer for local students, and they wanted to know more about the programs that were there and the opportunities that young people had by taking some of the course offerings that they had.
So more communication and publicity about what's going on in Region 9. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Maybe it would help us to know what's currently being done?
The question is, what's currently being done to communicate what's happening in Region 9? Does anyone know the answer to that? Is there a manual or booklet or guidebook? There's a booklet. There's a pamphlet for students, a poster, okay? And I think this was it was beyond kids, young people. It was the adults wanted to know more, right?
There's a mailing that goes out every time they have their semester offerings. There's a mailing that goes out. There's a mailing goes out every semester.
I think that's just the adult ed program.
That is.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that might also be driven by RSU 10. I live in RSU 10, and so I get it, but I don't know if your RSU gets it.
So there's a mailing that goes out for RSU 10 adult ed offerings. This is the point you made. Yes.
Just wanted to share that I have a young relative who is in Region 9 for automotive. And right out of high school was offered a very good job, and he's been employed happily and successfully since then. So, a lot of people may not know the impact it would have. Young people may not know the impact it would have on them without the communication.
So her point was that she has a relative who took the automotive courses and got a great job after graduating. And that we may not all know that impact. So better communication about that success would be important. Yes.
Oh, I just wanted to mention that the question does relate to communication, not the value of the program. And I'd like to know more about how it is communicated. I've heard a poster in the school. Is that all?
Is there any other way? Yes, sir.
Yes, Region 9 has its own board of directors and its own administration. I will present this to them as an area of concern. Basically, they have a website. They do come out into the buildings to meet with potential students. I know they have a very poorly attended session every year to talk about their budget. Sometimes no one shows up. So I do think that this is an area that would benefit the community.
Everybody hear that? He's going to present this to the board of that RSU. Any other comments? What is the impact of developing community communication of Region 9 class offerings? Hi. What's the feasibility? So you already heard that it's going to be presented to the board, so that's one step. Go ahead and vote. Okay, any more votes, comments? Last chance. Hi. What is the impact of offering daycare for elders in the community who need care? Comments about this? Pat, any comments about this?
The Age-Friendly Community Initiative has been doing a lot of work in the community to try and make it a better place for people to age in place, remain within their own homes. And this was just one idea that came up through interviewing people who were part of that group. Nancy, do you want to clarify?
As a representative of the Age-Friendly Community Initiative, it has come up quite frequently by family members who feel that there's a big need for that.
Yeah, I hear this a lot in other communities too, where like my mom is 92 years old and lives alone. It would be great if somebody could check in on her, or she could go somewhere when other siblings or children or adults that might be near her go off to work for the day. So is there some place that she could be? She doesn't live in this community, but it's that same kind of idea. Yes? I'll repeat it. Fun greeting. Morning greeting. Okay. Okay, so her point was that the age-friendly community has a program called Morning Greeting, and somebody volunteers to call an elderly person to make sure they're okay in the morning, and then if there's no answer to the phone, then there are 2 other steps to follow up with that person. I know often postmen, mail carriers serve that purpose too. My mom's mail carrier goes right up to her door, and it's kind of a low-person check. So I know a lot of you young people may not see that, but as we all get older, those kinds of things become pretty important. Yes?
I think daycare may imply something different from call check-in. I think it means a place for
You're right.
elders to go.
Thank you. This does refer specifically to a place where older people can go during the day. So you're right. So there are other things in place that may check in on people, but this is a place for older people to go. Any other comments? Yes?
But wouldn't that also maybe incorporate this whole thing about having a community center?
Yeah. It could be incorporated into the community center idea that we talked about earlier, and it could serve that purpose, absolutely. If you make that community center happen, then this could be one of the programs. Yes. Other comments? Okay. High impact. And what's the feasibility of offering daycare for elders in the community who need care? Before you all fall asleep, we're at number 15, just so you know, we're trying to get through about 42. We'll take a break in a little while. Okay. Any more votes? Last chance. Medium feasibility, high medium. What is the impact of improving transportation that connects people with their jobs and services? Pat, do you want to comment on that?
Owning a car is a costly expense, and in a rural community, there aren't many alternatives if you can't drive. I know some of you probably experience issues getting to different things you enjoy doing, sports practices, your friends' houses. Wouldn't it be great if there were a bus or some other thing that, more than just the winter, could help people get around in this community?
So the Mountain Explorer is winter only?
Yeah.
And this fellow says we need jobs too. Oh, it will create jobs, excuse me, yes.
Yeah, good.
Yep. Any other comments about providing transportation that to connect people with their jobs and services? Yes, Robin.
So West Maine Transportation Services is currently the provider of the Mountain Explorer service. It's supported through businesses, and actually the Maine Department of Transportation puts in the biggest subsidy. The towns are also, but you know, if there's enough need shown, I think that there could be a case presented, but it's going to require, I think the age-friendly community has been talking about this.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there's that need with kids also and people who don't own cars, but, you know, there's already a mechanism in place that if we, you know, organize around this thought and find the money, because a lot of it is just finding the money, because it's expensive to keep that service going, both from the fuel and the staff and insurance and all the other things. So I would say that the mechanism in place, we don't have to invent something.
So if you didn't hear that, the mechanism is in place, meaning there's already a system to make this happen, but it needs to be made bigger, it needs to be enhanced. Okay. Last chance. Hi. What's the feasibility of improving transportation that connects people with their jobs and their homes? Other comments? fun one. What is the impact of creating opportunities for public art? If you travel around, not just in Maine, but outside of Maine, there are a lot of communities that have public art everywhere, on public spaces, downtown, in parks, near sidewalks, out in rural areas. Would it make a difference? Now, this is just an example. That doesn't mean this is the art that you like. It's always hard showing art because some people like it, some people hate it. That's an example of some public art in a community. So what kind of impact does that have, and what would be the impact here? More votes? Last chance. Media management. What's the feasibility of creating opportunities for public art? There are a lot of communities along the coast, I think, that have a competition every year with some big sculpture. In Belfast, they did bears, and they had artists decorating bears, and then they auctioned them off. They also did public benches, and people created benches out of snowboards, and out of skis, and out of lobster traps, and all kinds of things. And then they were out in the summer, and then they auctioned them off. In Rockland, they did lobsters.
We do Adirondack chairs.
Adirondack chairs, yes, all kinds. So it doesn't have to be this high-paid thing if you're interested. What's the feasibility of creating opportunities for public art? Any more votes? Last chance. High feasibility. What is the impact of banning single-use plastic, reduce solid waste and litter? Some cities and towns do not allow plastic bags in their grocery stores and shops. You either bring your own bag or you have paper. Comments? Yes.
If you want to keep this planet going after I'm dead and you kids are adults, we better do something about that.
The comment was, if we want to keep this planet going, when you young people are adults, you better do something about plastic. Anything else? Yes.
I have heard and read that the plastic island in the Pacific is now 3 times the size of France.
If you haven't heard about a plastic island that's floating around in the Pacific Ocean, 3 times the size of France?
Yes.
France. Enormous. Any other comments on this? That's us, folks. Hi. What's the feasibility of banning single-use plastic to reduce solid waste and litter? Comments? Can we go for about 10 more minutes and then take a break? Is that okay? Last chance. Any more votes? Missing a few. Make sure it clicks. High feasibility. What is the impact of building an assisted living facility? Assisted living, does anyone want to define that?
What is the impact?
Oh, that's a mistake. So that should say high impact, medium impact, low impact. I apologize. Yes.
There are a lot of varieties of assisted living, but it usually means for older people who need help in their life. And it implies personnel, fairly sophisticated.
So this is generally considered one step before a nursing home. So you don't need every single piece of nursing home assistance, but you might need a little bit of assistance. Mobility, or taking your medicine, or things like that. And it's a place to live, you live there. Yes?
We usually think of it as going to a place, but it can't be done in a home. There's a
Yeah.
team of people who are at the ready.
Yeah, yeah. There's more and more efforts to have it in your home. And I think this question is about impact, not feasibility, of building an assisted living facility. So let's vote on the building an assisted living facility. Go ahead and vote. Last chance. High impact. And what's the feasibility of building an assisted living facility? Generally, this, as somebody pointed out, it's not just a building. I mean, there's sick care, doctor care, equipment, and all that. Last chance. Any more votes? Low, high, low. What is the impact of creating opportunities for musicians to meet together and play together? Comments? Impact, creating opportunities for musicians to meet together and play together. Yes, Robin.
Bethel Area Arts and Music, which is the newly envisioned Mahoosuc Arts Council that had been in existence for a quarter of a decade, or quarter of a century, I should say, is trying to establish just this.
Oh, great.
So just know that you don't need to invent something new. You've got something going that trying to establish just this.
So there's already efforts to establish this. That would mean you might vote high on feasibility, because it's very likely it's going to happen. This is, what difference does it make? What's the impact? Again, this idea came from the community, and people wanted this. Any more votes? I think it went out. Everyone has an argument. So medium impact. And what's the feasibility? What's the feasibility of creating opportunities for musicians to meet, gather, and play together? What's high? Vote 1 for high, 2 for medium, and 3 for low. Comments? Okay. Any of you musicians? A few? Okay. Last chance. High feasibility. What is the impact of painting a mural on the bus depot in Bethel and improving the look of the entryway into town? Kat, comments about this?
I think people are talking about the SAD 44 garage.
Is that the SAD 44 garage?
Yes.
The SAD 44 garage is what this is referring to. Any other comments or points about this? Factual information? Yes? No? Okay. Okay. Painting, I think this, what I heard was it came from folks that said we need a bolder, more beautiful entryway into the community. Okay. Last chance. Low impact. What's the feasibility of painting a mural and improving the entryway? The look of the entryway into town. Yes, Robert.
The students painted a mural, I believe, or have been painting murals at the school.
Yep.
So there's opportunities to, get together this enthusiastic group of youth to do something like that.
Yes.
Certainly on the bus garage, if the SAD 44 board deems it possible, I would think that.
So her point was that the students are doing it in the schools already. Why not expand that to the community, the bus depot? Yes.
I'd like to say that the ones in the cafeteria, we have 2 on each side. The first one, they don't really have anything to do with like school.
Yeah.
The first one had dragons and stuff. The second one had a big tree.
Yeah.
Doesn't make much sense. You have a problem with it, Andrew?
So maybe you should be on the committee that decides what gets painted if this gets done. Yes.
So pretty much, I think that it shouldn't be much of a distraction. I think it should all be incorporated into like one idea, because they are kind of distracting in the other cafeteria. They have nothing to do. Like there's frogs like sitting on rocks and like girls with like cupcake hair and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's very weird. And although it's a good idea, it needs to be like
So that's a very good point. It needs to be curated. You know, it's not just random, anybody goes, paints what they want, but it needs to be, you decide as a community what makes sense. Yes?
Going to the community level, there are lots of communities that have these murals, and I always feel better when I drive by them because they really do.
It really makes a difference in some communities. The reason communities do this is they want you to know where you are and that you feel good being there. And if you see a dilapidated wall or fallen down buildings when you come into a community, you might say, this is a community that doesn't care about itself. So, you know, it is a way that communities often take blank walls. I've seen a lot that say the name of the community in Westbrook. The old-fashioned postcard, if you've ever seen it, says Westbrook, and it's, you know, it's painted beautifully. So they're not random pieces of questionable art. It's really coordinated. Other comments? Okay, last chance. High feasibility. Okay, what is the impact of improving and connecting sidewalks in town and building safe ways for people to walk around? And by in town, we mean Bethel, right?
Yes.
So somebody said, do we have that already?
So that specifically relates to, you know how the railroad tracks come across town?
No.
The sidewalks on the other side of the railroad tracks don't connect well with where the businesses are locating on Route 2. So I see a lot of the times people walking to Rite Aid across Route 2, just along the sides of the road. And people have just expressed that they wish that there was a way, especially students, could get, you know, to the businesses over on Route 2 from in town.
There's a sidewalk going in,
There might be a sidewalk that Dunkin' Donuts already sees.
So a single sidewalk that doesn't lead to anything, until you connect it to other things, and it's important to make those connections. Robin?
I think that we can find out where the sidewalk across the railroad tracks is in process. I think it has already been decided upon, but I think that there is an issue there, so it's a matter of going to the Board of Selectmen in the town of Bethel to find out where that project is. There has been obviously some conversation around Blink and White intersection at Rite Aid and Mallard Park.
We're going to talk about that later.
Yeah, and so there has been lots of discussion about that. It's a matter of putting it as a high priority in order to make it happen.
So that's one thing that this exercise can help do. If we can show the select board in Bethel that people do care about that and would like to see it, they might be more apt to listen.
Yeah, I worked in one community where the people came out, a couple hundred people came out and talked about where they walk to and from in town. And then they analyzed, well, are there safe routes? And the one case was in Damascus. The people in the hospital couldn't get to the downtown safely. There was no sidewalk. And it's right on the main busy road. And as a result, they got thousands of dollars in grant money to pay for that link, because hundreds of employees wanted to get from the hospital to the downtown, to the post office, the bank, and to get lunch. So making those small connections often make a huge difference in the community. Yes?
I was just going to add that avoiding one fatality because of danger.
Yeah.
Getting around, I would consider that a high impact.
Okay. So the point was that if you avoid one fatality, it's a high impact. Yes?
There's also the opportunity for people to actually walk. You did some exercise, but where if you don't have a safe way to walk, then
Yeah. It's not just walking to work, or it's people go out and walk at lunchtime or whatever, or after work or after school, and it's exercise for good health. Other comments?
Great.
Okay. High impact. What's the feasibility of improving and connecting sidewalks in town and building safe ways for people to walk around? Any other comments or questions, or lots of moving fast? about we do 2 more and then we'll take a break? Okay, high feasibility, pretty close. What is the impact of expanding and improving the annual cleanup day? Do you have a cleanup day?
Yes.
We do? How many people volunteer for that? 2. How many people overall in the community volunteer?
What, you know how many people here?
No, on cleanup day in general, how many people appear for that?
Probably
30, 40? In Bucksport, Maine, they went from 40 to 400 because of this. So don't think it can't be done. It's amazing. What is the impact of having an annual cleanup day and expanding it and improving it? Last chance. High impact. What's the feasibility of expanding and improving the annual cleanup day? In my town, they meet at the parking lot of a grocery store and hand out bags and gloves Friday, Saturday, and Sundays, and they give people routes. You cover this block if you can do a block or a part of a road, and 2 or more people cover it. Hundreds of people volunteer. What's the feasibility of expanding and improving the annual cleanup day? High. So high. Okay, we'll end with this one and take a break. What is the impact of continued conservation by the Mahoosuc Land Trust? High impact, medium impact, or low? Kat, do you want to comment on this one?
Access to land came up a lot in the stories, how people really value the fact that they have access to ponds, lakes, streams, mountains, and trails, and that they appreciated the work that was being done by the land trust, and they felt that that was just an important thing to recognize and to hope continues into the future.
Any other comments? Yes.
The Mahoosuc Land Trust is working to connect protected parcels of land so that we can be resilient as the climate changes, and so that wildlife and flora and fauna can also be resilient as changing the world.
Thank you. Protection of the flora and fauna and wildlife in open areas as the world changes. Any more votes or comments? Last chance. High impact. What is the feasibility of continued conservation by the Mahoosuc Land Trust?
I would like to say that over the years that just about every project that I'm aware of, large and small, some of them requiring hundreds of thousands of dollars, once they were demonstrated to be important to the community, were achieved by the land trust. So this is one where I would say high feasibility, because if there's community support, it will happen.
Another thing I think is important to know is that in the beginning, 30 years ago, the land trusts were looking for ways to save land. And now we realize that there's a lot more to it than that. We still like to save iconic places, but the idea is we need to teach people how to get out and use it.
So it's more than just saving land, it's also teaching people how to get out and use the land. Any more comments? High feasibility. Okay, so we are going to take just a 10-minute break. If the teachers don't mind collecting all the keypads before people go out. So we need everyone back in. We need the teachers to pass out the keypads. And Norm and Marcel both have something to say, but let's let Norm go first. Where's Norm?
Here.
Come on down.
No.
You have to scoot. Scoot over. Andrew, move down one. Andrew, move down one. I'm not. I need my purse.
Not gonna move, Jack. I'm not gonna move.
I would. I kept mine.
Come on in, take a seat, please. We want to be able to get through 43 or 4 of them before the young people have to leave. Okay, take a seat. Does everyone down here have a keypad? We need keypads up front, please. Okay. Everybody in? Amy, is everyone in from out there?
Go check.
Raise your hand if you do not have a keypad. Does anyone have a bunch of them? All set. All set.
Hi, I just wanted to make a quick announcement to mostly the Telstar students, but to the other students at the A school too. We clearly care about your opinion, and it's not that often in your life where people ask you for your opinion and you get to have an actual impact on the future, and this is one of those opportunities. So we really need you to take this very seriously, and I know sometimes it gets a little bit boring, but you should understand the importance of what's happening here. The community is asking you for your opinion. And, we're putting our money where our mouth is by feeding you at the same time, right? So people have donated food for you to be happy while you're doing this. And so in return, we need you to take this process seriously and vote what you believe and clean up after yourself when you leave the theater. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Marcel Pollack. I just want to give you a little context. If you think this is just an intellectual exercise, it is not. It is much more than that. In the past, this community has done similar things, and out of that came the Mahoosuc Land Trust, the Arts Council. If people thought the idea of a Davis Park was impossible, or the River Trail was impossible, or the skate park was impossible, or the bridge, the snowmobile bridge over the Androscoggin River, all those came out of similar processes. So that's why I want to reinforce what Norm said, is that if the community gets behind something, it happens. Please vote.
Thank you. Very good reminders from both of you. Thank you. So we already have the next question up. What is the impact of beautifying Route 26, replanting trees along the Bryant Pond corridor and additional flower baskets and flags? So this is regarding Route 26 and Bryant Pond corridor. Any comments? Yes.
Selectmen have been talking about things like banners on the telephone pole. I think this is already an interest.
So the selectmen have already been talking about this and how important it is. There's already an interest. Any other comments? Factual information? Okay. Last chance. Everybody have a clicker? Yep. Don't hold it behind the chair. Hold it up a little bit, okay? And remember, the receiver is here. Don't point it at me. Okay. And it is a tie between high and medium impact, okay? And what is the feasibility of beautifying the Route 26 corridor? Replanting trees along the Bryant Pond corridor, additional flower baskets and flags. Go ahead and vote.
I just wanted to remind everybody that historically, the village of Brine Pond is lined with American elm trees. Beautiful American elm trees that died because of that disease, Dutch elm disease.
Dutch elm disease.
But they did-
That's why it says replanting probably, because they once were there. Yeah. Dutch elm disease killed off a lot of trees in the late 60s and early 70s. Okay, last chance. Tie. So it's put it between a medium and high impact and medium and high feasibility, kind of right on the line. Okay? What is the impact of working with Gould and Telstar on more collaborative activities, sports classes, and outreach among the institutions? Someone want to comment on that? Pat, do you have any comments about that?
Just that was something that we heard from students at both Telstar and Gould.
That is something that the school board is going to be hearing tonight, especially athletics. Dr. Murphy will be announcing that it's challenging.
So for these two schools to do more collaborative activities. Okay, last chance. Any more votes? High impact. What is the feasibility of working with Gould and Telstar on more collaborative activities, sports classes, and outreach among the institutions? Any more comments? Yes.
I've been around long enough to know that there have been efforts in this and some successes for many, many years. Takes a lot of creativity because of schedules and so on, but you know, when there's a will, there's a way.
So there have been activities and some successes already. Any other comments? Last chance. Medium feasibility. So high medium. What is the impact of expanding town office hours for people who work out of town? Any comments on, so that means that the story gatherers, the people that gathered stories from the community heard that people can't always get to town office before it closes because they work out of town and they get back later.
This isn't
So they
just one
want-
town office, though.
It's not just
We
one.
have 4 town offices that the town.
Yeah, 4 town offices. I know of a lot of communities who close, like Damascotta closes Wednesday mornings, but they stay open Wednesday night till 8 or 7 or something like that. Any other comments? Last chance. High, medium impact. Okay? What is the feasibility of expanding town office hours for people who work out of town? Go ahead and vote. Yes, comments?
I suspect this is one that does not need to be involve any expenditures. It involves creativity. No more.
Comment is, this may not involve an expenditure of money, like you may not have to pay overtime, but it might be a creative solution. Any more comments? Feasibility of expanding town office hours. High. So medium high and then high. What is the impact of creating and maintaining a community garden? Do you have any community gardens? Edible Bethel, and that's in front of people, businesses and things like that, where people, I saw some of that yesterday. But a community garden is a space where different people can take over a plot of land and take care of it and produce their own vegetables. I know in one community in northern Vermont, they took a vacant lot that was dilapidated and a nuisance. And, you okay over there? Yeah. And they turned it into a community garden and put up picnic tables, and it became a real gathering place for people. And they learned how to make salsa and things like that, and had classes at the garden. And it became a real source of pride for the community.
Jane?
Yes.
On the gateway parcel into Bethel, that's owned by the Mahoosuc Land Trust, adjacent to Maine Department of Transportation land.
Yes.
There used to be a community garden there, and it became important enough to the community to do it. It would definitely come back.
Yeah, so the point was that it's been done before at the entryway to Bethel, and it could come back again and be done again. Other comments? Okay, last chance. High impact. What is the feasibility of creating and maintaining a community garden? Again, in this town in Vermont, they got all volunteer labor and donated railroad ties, topsoil, tools, all that stuff to make it happen. Picnic table.
You have to have an overseer, but.
You might need, yeah, you might need an overseer. He's suggesting that the recreation director, if that happens, could take over this as well. Any more votes? Last chance. High feasibility. What is the impact of building and connecting trails around the region, including some made for people of all abilities? This is similar to that sidewalk one, but this is trails. So if you get out on the trail, you can connect to a larger trail network. Yes. Go ahead.
The Mahoosuc Land Trust at our Valentine Farm built a 1.2 mile universally accessible trail. Not knowing how or whether it would get used, it gets used so much I can't even believe it. All kinds of people show up every day.
So there is a 1.2 mile trail that's accessible for all abilities, and it's used a lot. So how do you connect that network and make it a bigger network? Did you have a comment? Okay, guys? Okay.
Jane?
Yes.
There has been some discussion and level of importance given to the state trail, connect the village and Telstar facility there. I know that there have been some challenges, but again, if it became a high enough priority,
yeah,
it could definitely be done.
Great, okay. Any more votes? Last chance. High impact. Sorry, I did that too fast. What is the feasibility of building and connecting trails around the region, including some made for people of all abilities? Go ahead, vote. Comments, go ahead.
Yeah, just to say that you probably understand this, but there are various and sundry trail routes around there. We have a youth conservation corps that hate it, but it's ready to come back. And Moose Pathway is very involved in building trails. A lot of volunteers around, so this kind of thing can be done. So all we have to do is say where we want it and we can happen.
So his point was there are volunteer groups already that are building and doing this kind of thing. They just need direction of where and when it should happen. Any more votes? High. High. What is the impact of reopening Big Adventure Center? Or arcade, trampoline park, or another inside place for youth and adults to play? There's a lot of chatter out there. I think we woke them all up. Go ahead.
Now this picture, you got the marijuana growing out of it. This could be the community center. Right on the trail, got all kinds of.
So the place is there, it just needs to be activated. Any other comments? You all woke up, you were all asleep.
So I think this is like,
Yes.
So let's wait and see. The votes are later. Any more votes? Oh. Wow. That's amazing. So you kind of like this one, huh? Okay, now, what's the feasibility? Remember, what is the potential for attracting leadership, has community support? There's funding, there's space, there's people that will make it happen. What's the feasibility of this happening?
People will make it happen, are right here.
If you want it to happen, you gotta do it yourself. Any more votes? Last chance. We're going sky high here. Okay, ready? High feasibility. So that's a little bit of a dose of reality. You can't just wish it to happen. You gotta make it happen. Okay? Questions, comments? Okay. Next one. Boy, we heard this one a lot. What is the impact of building a fenced-in dog park? My town has one. It has a fenced-in area, has water. People bring jugs of water for dogs, dog holes, walls, and a tiny fenced-in area for tiny dogs. So the big ones and the little ones aren't together. They don't want to be.
So the way that this was brought up, people mentioned that they liked it for themselves just as much as their dogs would like it to hang out with other dogs. So you can meet up with your friends who also have dogs and you can talk while the dogs play. I know a lot of people here have a lot of land, but not everybody does.
So what is the impact of building a fenced-in dog park? Last chance, comments? Yes.
There's also an economic driver impact to this because there are lots of websites and guides for people who travel with their dogs.
Absolutely.
They'll tell them which towns have it.
Yeah. There are websites that tell you what towns have dog-friendly hotels, dog-friendly restaurants, outdoor eating type places, all kinds of things. And if you have a dog park, it's an economic impact as well, possibly. Any other comments? Okay. Here we go, lots of votes coming in. High impact. What is the feasibility? Land, funding, leadership, potential for this company? Building a fenced-in dog park. Go ahead and vote.
And if anyone wants to know Steve's experience about that, just ask him later on. Because Steve tried to do this a few years ago.
Okay. Any more votes? Okay, last chance. High feasibility. Okay. High, right? What is the impact of hosting career days for high school students with local employers? Any comments on this? Yes?
Don't we do that now?
Do we do that now? You have it already. And so this must have come as an idea from people who didn't know you had it already. The junior class does it.
It may not have been in high school yet either.
Okay, any other comments?
Even though we haven't, you still could vote that it hasn't high enough.
Yeah. It doesn't mean you vote low. How important is it? Does it have an impact on the community and the future of the students? Last chance. High impact, so it's valuable. And since you're already doing it, what's the feasibility of it? I would imagine this would also come out pretty high because it's happening already. You don't have to start a new thing. But go ahead and vote. Comments? Any more votes? Last chance. High feasibility. What is the impact of communicating and sharing information about financial support and other resources that are available for small businesses and entrepreneurs? Comments about this? Do you do this at all? No. Yes? Want to tell us a little more about it?
The Bethel Chamber of Commerce is a business organization in town, and the town office has some resources. Community Concepts Finance Corporation has representatives in this area. They have Advice Corps, Service Corps of Retired Executives, located most closely in South Paris, but they also have people that are willing to come to the Bethel area to help the capital businesses. So we do have that. Perhaps we're not doing a good enough job getting the word out about those services that are available.
So it's happening already, go ahead.
Ed also offers several, almost every semester, several one-night seminars for people who want to start a small business or, you know,
So Adult Ed is offering some one-night seminars for people who want to start small businesses. Okay. Other comments? Last chance. High impact. What is the feasibility of communicating and sharing information about financial support and other resources that are available for small businesses and entrepreneurs? None. Okay. Any more votes? Any comments? Okay. Last chance. High feasibility. So I think that's high. What is the impact of attracting industry and investment in the traditional economy of the area? Comments about the traditional economy. Does anyone know what that is? What is the traditional economy of this area? Black flies?
No.
What is it?
Used to be wood products, still is to some extent, but really the new tradition is second homes and tourism, hospitality.
So it used to be the wood industry, now it's tourism, second homes, hospitality industry, outdoor recreation. So the question is, what is the impact of attracting industry and investment in that traditional economy for new jobs and new opportunities? Go ahead and vote.
Maybe we should say one of the new economies is people who have strong enough Wi-Fi that they can work from their homes and really be part of a large corporation that may be anywhere in the world.
That is the new economy. People working from their homes and having enough connectivity so they can do it from home, connected big corporations, yes.
We also have some of the best farmland in the state along the Amistrakis River, and we need to encourage more farmers to grow on that land and to serve our local towns with locally grown food.
Yeah, so the comment was about the importance of the good farmland along the river that you have already and using that to grow your economy and grow locally grown food. Other comments, questions? Last chance. High impact. What is the feasibility of attracting industry and investment in the traditional economy of the area? Go ahead and vote. Who would do this? Chamber? Economic Development Department?
Yeah, the Community Concepts Finance Corporation has a kind of a branch of business attraction. What's interesting about this question is it's, I don't know, it's this whole thing about the traditional economy. What's tradition? What do we have to leave in, what's the rearview mirror? What's the future? The kids in this room, in many cases, will determine the future of our economy. The knowledge economy, technology, those kinds of things are going to become a more important part. Doesn't mean that we shouldn't leave the traditions of this area. We attract people and have been attracting people because this area is not a caricature of a tourist town. We're real people that cross-sector get along with one another, even though we don't always agree with one another. We get along, whether it's folks that work in the woods or folks that work in the mills or folks that work in the hospitality industry. That's what makes this area attractive. We need to probably think about making sure we don't ruin the place, that the place maintains this sense of community and authenticity.
Great, thank you, I won't try to repeat that.
Thank you. Who's doing it or trying to do it now? Maine West is a group of, a lot of nonprofits in the area that have as one of their outreach missions right now, bringing more robust broadband or Wi-Fi to the area.
Great, thank you. Okay, feasibility, medium. I think that's high, medium, high impact, medium. What is the impact of attracting, just what you mentioned, high-speed broadband internet to the area? Comments about this? Yes. Yes. Choose a new impact. Yes.
One thing that we're finding is of interest is in lots of rural areas in Maine and across the country is that kids are required to do their homework online in a lot of cases. And if you don't have kind of speeds of Wi-Fi, you're not going to be able to do that unless you go to the library or somewhere you stay at school where there is high-speed broadband.
Right. Yeah.
And then that gets into the transportation.
Yeah.
High-speed broadband for everyone.
Okay, so impact of attracting high-speed broadband. Here we go. High impact. Great. So what's the feasibility of attracting? Does anyone want to comment on the feasibility? What does it take to make this happen? You can't just wish it, Steve.
We currently have a plan in place that was paid for with a grant to begin to do this in 27 towns in Oxford County, and those towns are in Side 17, Side 44, 10, and 56. So there is a plan to get started. And you'll be seeing Wi-Fi hotspots showing up in all different towns soon, where you can at least get near enough to them to get some high speed.
Okay, so there is a plan. It takes a little while, costs some money. Okay, last chance. So it's pretty close between medium and high, but medium wins out. What is the impact of improving the safety at the intersection of Route 2 Parkway and Route 26? Comments about this? Is it unsafe? Accidents for people and people in cars, bicycles? Yes?
There's this one time when I was with my mom, and we were driving towards that intersection, and there was a car accident.
Yeah, so you've seen an accident there, yeah. The police departments usually have data on accidents. Yes, Robin?
The challenge is Route 2 is North New England's most important east-west highway, which makes truck traffic, interstate truck traffic on that road very heavy, as you all notice, as we're trying to cross that intersection. The town of Bethel has actually tried to work with MDOT to do what they call a traffic quieting plan, where you notice those kind of little raised islands there to try to slow the traffic.
Yeah.
It's a very, very challenging intersection, absolutely no question. There's multiple solutions, but we see this as having high impact. We have to put pressure on the municipality of Bethel to make it a higher priority.
So that there's a good point of traffic calming, I think it is that's what communities do, to slow cars down, because the slower you go, the less fatal accidents are and the less likely they are to occur. So if it looks like you can drive fast, people go fast, and then they're more likely to have accidents. Especially when there's a conflict with turning movements and things like that. Okay, last chance. High impact. What is the feasibility of improving the safety at the intersection of Route 2 Parkway 26? So it sounds like some work is already going on. It is challenging. Any more comments? Last chance. Okay. High feasibility. What is the impact of expanding the fresh and healthy food section in local stores? Evidently, people told the Heart and Soul Project that they wanted more healthy foods, fresh foods, more options. Any other comments about that? Have you heard of food deserts?
Yeah.
Yes. Not dessert, deserts. Okay. Any more comments? High impact. What is the feasibility of expanding the fresh and healthy food section in local stores? High, medium, or low feasibility? So the comment was made, it's a space issue. Do the stores have space to put more fresh and local healthy foods, really healthy foods? Is there room on the shelves? If people ask for it, they'll do it, Steve said. Anybody else? Last chance. Medium. High medium. We have just a few more to go through. You've been very good. What is the impact of offering classes on gardening, composting, and backyard birds, to name a few? How important is this? Would it make a difference? Would it make it a better community? Some people suggested that this would. We want to know what you think. Does adult ed offer anything now on these? No? Yes? Go ahead.
Mahoosuc Land Trust offers gardening classes and birding experiences with experts.
Okay, so Mahoosuc Land Trust does offer some gardening and birding with experts. Last chance. Medium impact. And what's the feasibility of offering classes on gardening, composting, and backyard birds? To name a few. Any more comments? Any more votes? Last chance. Medium high. What is the impact of setting aside land for hunting, snow machines, hiking, biking, and developing multi-use trails where appropriate? So this sounds like more motorized vehicles where some trails sometimes are restricted to not allow motorized. Point to this one? Yes. Okay. Similar to Berlin. Any comments? Yes.
Here, the neighbors are very interested in building food out of the rail. But there is a much larger part of the population that's interested in motorizing and non-motorized. And it would behoove us to have an opportunity to have snowmobiles be able to come into town and use the restaurants and things like that, and also to welcoming to snowmobiles in our hospitality.
So the point was that there's a huge economy around snowmobiles and the community could be more welcoming to the snowmobiling population. That there are a lot of folks that want to be able to jump on a trail and then come to a restaurant. Yes,
And this question is pretty broad.
Yes.
When you think about the needs of hunters as opposed to, or sometimes in conflict with hikers and bikers in the woods, it's significant and it's about understanding each other and it's understanding each other's needs and respecting each other's needs. It kind of gets back to not being this caricature of a tourist town that makes winners and losers.
Right.
That there's a place at the table for each of these recreational uses. We have the community forest conversation that's going on right now, and that's opening up the whole Bingham forest. And, you know, I think that there's an opportunity for everybody in this room and more people to have a say in the uses and how that's going to be managed in the future, not, you know, one against another. And so and much of our land is privately owned, and so their private property, the individual that owns land has an opportunity to say they don't want such and such on their land. So what we have available is lands that are owned by either the land trust or community forest or other public lands to say, this is what we want. We can't dictate to somebody who owns land what he or she is going to do with their land. So it's important for the people in this room and others to get involved in our community forest and the Bingham Forest conversations.
Great, thank you. Yes.
I would like to underscore what Robert just said. Community forest and legal forest is really important to become aware of.
So getting involved in the community forest discussions in the future of that land is very important. Close. Okay. Anything else?
Just about the community forest, just received a grant from the National Forest Community Forests Fund, and 34 towns around the country applied for this grant. The 8 were chosen, but Bethel was chosen as number 1. And that was primarily, we have a good plan, but the real reason why we were rated so highly was that so many people in the area are part of the planning process. So just like this, it's going to make a big impact. Being here is going to make a big impact. The fact that we have 40 to 80 people coming to planning meetings.
Yeah, it's amazing what difference public engagement has for getting funding, for getting recognized, for making a difference. You stay involved. Okay, last chance, lots of votes. High impact. And what is the feasibility of setting aside land for hunting, snow machines, hiking, biking, and similar, and developing multi-use trails where appropriate, similar to Berlin? Okay, any more comments? Last chance. High. Yes, high. What is the impact of building community support around athletic programs at Telstar? Where did this come from?
That specifically came from student athletes who said they really loved playing their sports, but they were bummed out when there were only a couple people in the audience to watch them.
Football. So they want more community involvement and community coming out to support the sports and the athletic programs. Comments on that? Anybody feel the same way? Go ahead and vote. Yes.
It seems like more people coming out and raising morale all through the streets. People were supporting.
Yeah. So the point was that the more people come out to support these, it raises the morale throughout the entire school. That's not just the school supporting itself, but the whole community supporting the education and academics and sports. Last chance. High impact. Okay. What's the feasibility? How possible is it that the community will support athletic programs at Telstar? Yes.
I have a question. Are there parent support clubs at Telstar to support their students?
Are there parent support clubs at Telstar to support? There's a PTO, parent-teacher organization.
There's also boosters that's that we're working very hard to try to help initiate to get more people involved and helping support the games that are being held at Telstar.
Good to know. Okay, there is a boosters club.
Clubs for parents.
Yeah. Okay. Any more votes or comments? Last chance. Hi. Does anybody hi? What is the impact of better integration into the transit systems of Southern Maine and beyond through passenger rail? Now this means that the passenger rail, Amtrak, comes a certain distance. Does it come all the way to Bethel?
No, it goes to Portland.
Portland.
Yeah. They're currently doing an impact study for commuter rail between Portland and Lewis and Auburn,
Yes.
which gets it closer to the Bethel area, but still feels miles away. But there is the Mahoosuc and Oxford and Coos County Corridor group. That's a group of towns all along the corridor, and volunteers that are so passionate about having this happen. It really is about justifying the expense or whatever the potential use is. That's the barrier. But there is, it's coming closer to Lewis and Auburn.
And the idea is to get people on the train and up as far as we can, and then maybe connecting to buses or other vehicles to get you the rest of the way, or the train the whole way.
And eventually, this group would like to see it go to Montreal.
And then all the way to Montreal. Great. Okay, last chance. High impact. Now, what is the feasibility of better integration into the transit systems of Southern Maine and beyond through passenger rail? Yeah. Okay. Any more comments? Last chance. Medium. So high, medium. What is the impact of continuing and building adult education offerings? So there are some already, but it looks like people wanted to see more. Is there any more comments on this, Janet?
Lifelong learning and education came up pretty high on our list of community values. So not only adult education, but the senior college were two things that were mentioned a lot that people really enjoyed being able to participate in the area, and that they would like to see more classes and more variety in the classes that are offered.
And it's been proven again and again that communities that have this kind of lifelong learning attract and retain people in their communities. Because older people, you know, believe it or not, we don't stop learning when we hit 18 or 22 or, you know, we want to do it all the time. So go ahead and vote. Yes?
We do have a very robust senior college program here, but it seems to reach out to people who have retired here from away more than it does people who move up here. So I'm hoping that we can see that continue to grow. And
So that's more continuing and building, yep. Okay. High impact. And what is the feasibility of continuing and building adult education offerings? Last chance. High feasibility. So high impact, high feasibility. What is the impact of improving communication about how town meetings work and what is on the agenda? Many of the communities I work with, as a result of Heart and Soul, have built an email list of all the people that have ever come to events, and the town managers have used that email list to correspond with the community. They send out, every 2 weeks, send out an email saying, this is on our agenda, we hope you come, or it also might be, this is the reason there's construction in front of your house, or this is why the snow plowing didn't work very well this week, or just information, so people didn't have to go to a website to find information and dig. This is where the voting is. These are the hours the town office is open, and it became a communication method for the town managers to communicate with the people that wanted to hear about it. And if you didn't want to hear about it, you deleted it or you took your name off the list. Comments? Did somebody put a hand up? Question, go ahead.
How many more of these are there?
How many more of these are there? One or two? You getting tired? Okay.
Jane?
Yes.
One thing that I've learned is that it's kind of interesting, and I'm not really sure how it works in the other towns. Oftentimes, the towns are relying on the traditional methods of communication, putting Post-its up in their windows at the town offices, and in some cases, communicating on email, putting things in paper.
Yeah.
We want to get young people involved in town government and come to committees. Perhaps we need to think about how we can create Facebook groups and those other kinds of things and offering daycare at these meetings so that young parents can come without incurring the cost of babysitters, et cetera.
Yep. Increasing accessibility to this kind of information. Go ahead, vote. Last chance. High impact. Okay? And what is the feasibility of improving communication about how the town meetings work and what is on the agenda? Go ahead and vote. What's the likelihood that this will happen? Can it happen? Okay. High feasibility. So high impact, high feasibility. I think this is the last one. What is the impact of expanding services for the elderly, meals, errands, and handy people? And so people can stay in their homes. What difference would this make? Does it have a high, medium, or low impact? Any comments? We've talked about this already a bit. Okay. Last chance. What is the impact of expanding services for the elderly, meals, errands, and handy people? High impact. What is the feasibility of expanding services for the elderly, meals, errands, and handy people? Yes.
Having been involved in that, I know that there are thousands of good ideas out there. It just takes people that say they want to be involved in it.
Yeah. I knew two young men in high school that started a business called Two Strong Men. And it started out as volunteers when they were in high school. That was their public service work. And then they turned it into a business. And now they're making big bucks. And it's what? They did not go on Shark Tank. They became a business and an entrepreneur all by themselves. Any more votes? Medium. So high, medium. Oh, one more, I think. What is the impact of creating a sustainability club or committee to look at recycling and renewable energy alternatives in the area? Anything you want to add? Anybody have anything to add? I think this would be a group or a committee to present different ideas to the community about renewable energy alternatives. Any more votes? Last chance. High impact. And what is the feasibility, I did that too fast, the feasibility of creating a sustainability committee or club to look at recycling and renewable energy alternatives in the area?
Do each of the towns have a conservation commission?
No.
So not every town has a conservation commission. Often a conservation commission would do this.
There's one in Bethel, there's one in Woodstock, and Greenwood is now exploring it.
Bethel and Woodstock, and Greenwood's thinking about it.
Woodstock, you're looking at an annual cleanup campaign that's sponsored by the Conservation Commission in
great.
Woodstock.
So the Conservation Commission is sponsoring an annual cleanup campaign.
I stole that picture from the website.
Any
From
more
the town
pictures?
website.
Was this the Greenwood committee here?
No, Woodstock.
Woodstock, okay. Last chance. High feasibility, so I think that's high. Oh, I'm sorry, how many do we have? What is the impact of creating, no, I broke the ends. What is the impact of creating?
This is the last one.
This is the last one. Creating and staffing a repair cafe. where people can have appliances and household items fixed. In the olden days, we used to fix appliances. We used to sort of throw it away. If a toaster broke, my dad could fix it. You know, if something went wrong, we fixed it. So this would be a place where you could go to have, you go learn how to fix it yourself. Or somebody would volunteer and fix it for you. So we don't end up disposing of everything. Any other comments? Last chance. High impact. And what is the feasibility of creating and staffing a repair cafe where people can have appliances and household items fixed? Any more folks? Medium. High medium. You did it. So before you leave, we just want to tell you what's happening next. Wednesday night, we're doing the next half of these items. Don't get us yet, please. We're going to pick up the keypads, but we're going to finish the second half on Wednesday night. Dinner will be provided at 5, Pat?
Yep.
Dinner, free dinner at 5. 5:30 is when we're going to start voting to 7:30. Exact same thing with different questions. Hold on for a second. And then a report comes out of this, and the committee goes around finding volunteers to do the things that ended up with high impact and high feasibility. And every once in a while, something ends up down here, and people still want to do it. So this is not a binding vote, but it tells us what you folks think. Thank you all very much for coming out. Do not take your keypads home. They do not change your TV channel, and they do not open your garage door. So let's make sure we get them back. Thank you.